father affected by the Great Depression at all?
That was one thing working in a dairy there. It never bothered us. He always had work there, and we never, although it wasn't big money, it was money that made you, you were survived there.
Could you tell that other families were hurting?
Oh yeah. My dad was turned down from the Princess Pat's because of varicose veins, and he had the worst varicose veins that I ever seen there. I've got them too. I got them in the Army too, and as a result of the dampness in the water we were in Holland and that, I got external bleeding vials, and if you ever have them, you get so you can hardly walk there, So I had my corporal. I said, "Here, just have a look and see what's wrong with me," He looked at me. "Oh, you better go and see the RAP there, the Regimental Aid Post." So I did, and it was near the end of the war, so I went and saw him, and he looked at me and said, "Oh," he said, "you're going out." So I wasn't going to argue with him because I went right through France, Belgium, Holland, and Germany, and I knew the war was just about ended. We were looking at Jerry moving around, and he wasn't firing at us, and we weren't firing at him. So I was just as glad to get out because I figured my luck is going to run out pretty, it's bound to run out soon. And I've got to say that I was a very lucky guy, not only me, but I know a lot of guys that were very lucky that come back too. But especially a lot of the different instances that happened to me there were very close, and you'll find out when I tell you later on.
If I can take you back to 1939, that's when Canada declared war, and when and how did you make the decision that you wanted to join the military, the armed services?
Well,
was this not, 1942 or something like that?
Yeah, 43 I joined there, and I was 18 at the time, but I signed on at 19.
Okay.
And it proved later on that there were 60 of us in the Army at the same time as me that were all 18 too, but they had signed 19.
So you were thinking of going to the Air Force at first before the Army?
Yes, and we went down and we were going to join air crew.
And this was on Olette Avenue where you had to enlist for the Air Force? Okay.
We were going to join air crew because we didn't fancy the aircraft flying or anything like that, and we figured, well, if we signed ground crew, we'd be on the ground, we'd do mechanical work or something. Well, we went to the WAFs there. They were taking the application, and when they asked us, or they asked me anyway, "Are you signing the air crew?" And I said, "No." I said, "I want ground crew." And they had an air crew drive at the time, see. And so I said, "All right, just put down ground crew." So the WAF said, "Okay." So the next thing I know, we get called in for a medical. So I get called in for the medical, and here the MO's got me standing on one leg, balancing here, and balancing here and then giving me a colorblind test and everything. And I said, God, I said to the officer, I said, you have to go through all this for a ground crew? He said, what? Don't tell me you're a ground crew and I'm giving you an air crew medical. I said, well, that's what I signed for. He said, not according to the papers here. The WAF had put down air crew, you know. So he said, well, he said, I'll tell you. They took me into the commander there at the time, the Air Force wheel there, and he questioned us, and why don't you want to join air crew? I just said, well, I don't think I could stand my stomach wouldn't stand it, you know. Well, he said, I'll tell you what to do. He says, go home and think it over for a day or two, and then come back and let me know what you decide, you know. And so we went home and we were talking amongst ourselves, well, what the hell, we may as well sign air crew. That we'll probably fail air crew and they'll put us in ground crew anyway, so okay. So that's what we done. We went back to see the officer and took us in his office. And, well, what did you decide? So I said, well, he said, first of all, he says, you want to be truthful with me? And we said, oh yeah, sure. And I'll be truthful with you guys too. So he said, no, he said, tell me, he said, what did you decide? So we said, oh well, we'll take the air crew. Now he said, okay, now he said, now tell me, he said, isn't the reason you're taking air crew is because you know that if you get fail in air crew, you'll be put in ground crew? We said, yeah, that's right. So he said, well, he said, come here, he said, I'll tell you what to do, come here. Took us to the doorway entrance, and there was guys writing exams out there at the time. And he said, now you see them guys out there? They want air crew. There's a lot of them there want air crew. But he says there's a lot of them that are going to fail in the air crew. Now he says, you guys that want ground crew, you wouldn't stand a chance out there with that, you know. We said, yeah, that's right. So he said, I'll tell you what to do. He said, just go downstairs now and turn left and go right straight down Olette Avenue there till you come to the Hunter, you know. And he says, see what they'll do for you down there. I said, the hell with that. I said, I know damn well I'm not a sailor, you know, either, so I don't want to get tied up with that. I'm going to go to the Army. So I went down to the Army and bang, no problem at all there. Sign you up.